Hi, it's me, Ingrid INFP, and I met up with my friends last weekend, and we had brunch. And after my whole breakdown stuff, I was actually feeling quite good um, during the weekend, and I've also upped the dosage of sertraline, so I am not sleeping at all, but and even on antihistamines, I am not. So we'll see how this goes. But I wanted to talk about something that we talked about um, while I met my friends. It was about how we talk to our childhood selves, okay? Or like how we see our childhood selves. Because I'm making this series now about like my autobiography, like about my life in childhood until now. And I realize we all have very different ideas about our childhood. And I had a very good childhood, except for the fact that I was bullied and my parents were kind of strict. Otherwise, I have not been through anything super traumatic. And my parents were, in general, quite good parents. And I I was just very sensitive, basically. And so everything um, felt like much more than it maybe was. But these people I was talking with um, have not had very positive childhoods, I don't think. Um, so one of them had learned in therapy and also through YouTube to talk to herself as if she were a child, and that really helped her a lot. And that's a way of practicing self-care and saying like, oh, what would little Ingrid want, you know? Um, Taking care of yourself like you're parenting yourself, like you're taking care of a small child. So, maybe this child needs a nap, or maybe the your your child self needs to eat, or to do something fun. Thing is, that only works if you have some kind of discipline and that you're not going to spoil yourself just because of that. I think that I would be very, very permissive to my child self and would probably give her everything that she wanted, even though it maybe isn't good for me. So if I use this example, I would like say, oh, does little Ingrid want a bag of chips? Yes, yes, she does. Let's eat the whole bag of chips. Um, so I think that it doesn't really work in all cases. So I do think about that sometimes, but in general, that isn't something that helps me. All tips, all of this kind of advice is stuff that we need to, see if it applies, if it helps us. Um, but yeah, so I know that this tip helps some people. Certain people who have are not getting like who aren't very self-loving. It can become a problem if they just keep going, and don't take care of their physical and emotional needs. I think that kind of advice might be helpful for that person. Then there are certain people who have been through terrible things who need to cut off their childhood selves completely away from them in order to continue living. And that's what another of my friends was saying. That's what this person did. Um, cut themselves off from, well, said goodbye to the child that they were because of trauma that they experienced in childhood. Um, I've heard also people saying like, "Oh, your child self would be proud of you," and that might help in certain cases, but it has helped me in certain periods, but actually not, because truthfully told, my child self had no idea what adult life was. So I've been thinking a lot about this, and I think that my child self had no idea what kind of struggles adult me would have. And so I don't think that my child self would be proud of me and where I've come, because she would just think like, oh, she's become an adult. My child self did not want to grow up. And so the fact that I am growing, I think that my child self would not be proud of me, but that doesn't matter. That doesn't matter. What matters is that I am growing. And my child self was not bad. My child self was good, and it was me, and it still is me. But at the same time, I've changed, so I am not my child self. And my child self had to deal with a bunch of stuff that current me doesn't need to deal with. And my present self has stuff that baby me did not need to think of. And I can only be compassionate for all the versions of myself that I've been. Because my child self couldn't have understood all the stuff I understood now. My teenage self couldn't go through the stuff that I'm doing now. I couldn't made the decisions that I make now when I was younger, because I'm here now. I have the experience now. And I didn't then. So I'm talking really abstractly, but like this decision to go to therapy, I couldn't have done that a year ago. I couldn't have done that during medical school. I couldn't have done that. Like I could have, but I wasn't there yet. I wasn't ready yet. And so I have to have compassion and self-respect and admit to myself that I wasn't there yet. I couldn't, I wouldn't have made this decision then, because I was in a completely other situation. I was also not mature enough to do it. So my priorities were different as well. So, I mean, we do change. We do change, and what might have seemed like a mistake was actually not really a mistake. It was just what the best solution seemed like at the time, for the current self that I was. So I think that like this is a pretty healthy position. But it's always interesting to me to see how other people see their childhoods, because it's very different. The people that I was talking about, they do not have SI. So their vision of the past and the future is very different from mine. And so they're a little bit more about the moment and a little bit more about the future. So they have very radical versions of like the past. I think that SI is a lot about integrating the past into your narrative, especially if you have FI, obviously. So I am my child self, but I'm also not. And I was reading an article about how adults are now still acting like children. I'm going to link it in the description. I put it on Instagram for the people who follow me. But it's basically that nowadays young adults keep doing child things and never consider themselves adults. They never grow up because of the difficulties in the economy and stuff, like all of the rites of passage that are usually seen with adulthood, like building a family, getting a house, and a car, and financial independence, is being pushed back in the years. And so people my age um, don't really find like um, they don't find that they're adults. And as an INFP, I think that we have that problem, is that we have a hard time becoming adults because becoming an adult means basically ESTJ stuff. And so it takes us a while to become adults. But I think that in that sense, but I think that we can try to become more mature versions of ourselves. And that doesn't necessarily mean doing all the adult things, but it does mean taking responsibility for your actions, um, being responsible in some sense. Of course, that doesn't mean like becoming an SJ kind of the responsible, but being responsible for the things that you can do in your life to make it good for you, taking care of yourself and your health, being there for others if you can, being kind, actually trying to develop and grow without being told to, doing things that will help you, as opposed to being passive like a child. I think that I've been way too passive throughout my life, but I've also made myself rot rather than grow. But I try to see myself as continually growing, and I'm working on it. So I think that that is a mature thing to do. So maturity levels is what we want to reach. It's not this weird concept of adulthood, but I'm at the age where I have to accept that, yes, I'm an adult, fully an adult, that I do have some kind of wisdom that I've gained. I'm not the same person now as I was at 18. My brother is 18, so I see that there is a difference in the development level. I can take care of certain things that I couldn't before. I can enjoy certain things that I couldn't before. And I'm still the same person, but I am not. I can, there's a sense of independence that comes with being an adult. There's a sense of calm that comes with being an adult. The fact that you can do what you want, and you have the responsibility from that, but it's actually a good thing, especially if your childhood wasn't good. My childhood was good, but I cannot keep thinking that that was my best self. My best self, who knows when it will come, you know? It's still out there. I can still be my best self, and I can try to be my best self throughout my life for years to come. So that is kind of the more positive way of thinking of it. So for me, there are kinds of self-compassion that my friends were having is not for me, but I can find my own way of thinking of my child self. I know that I'm not the same person, but at the same time, I can see the whole progression. And I know that my child self would not have made the same decisions as I do now, but it doesn't mean that I have to regret anything that I've done, because it was me at the time making those things, and so they are mine. They are my decisions. So this makes like no sense, but I do think like, okay, I have to integrate the fact that, okay, I am an adult into my identity, you know, I'm an adult, I'm a woman, I'm an adult. I am not a child anymore. A lot of people around us, I think, treat us like we're still children as INFPs, because they think that we are, and the fact that we're like, we have difficulty with responsibility and with different practical things in the world. But we have to understand that we are not children, so the way that they are treating us is not full of respect. And so we need to be respected as fully capable adults. So yeah, that's where I'm going to end the video. What do you guys think? And have a great day. Bye.